Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our live webinar where our expert will help you understand how to manage cloud spend and optimize with ServiceNow Cloud Insights. My name is Archana and I will be your host and moderator for today's webinar. And if you have any questions or have trouble hearing or viewing the webinar at any point in time, please let us know in the question window that you can see on the right hand side of your screen. You can also post all of your questions or any comments in the same anytime during the presentation. We do have a dedicated slot to answer all of your questions towards the end of the presentation. And now I would like to welcome our speaker, Arun Nair. Arun is ServiceNow Technical Lead at Royal Cyber. Thank you, Arun, for joining us. Now let's touch upon the agenda of today's webinar. First, we'll be covering up the challenges, then the business needs, then the cloud insights walkthrough, features and usage, and at the end, we'll cover the Q&A. Now, before that, let me start with a brief introduction about who we are and what exactly do we do. Royal Cyber is an IT consulting and digital transformation company specializing in services, solutions, and softwares. And it has been innovating since 2002 with 1,000 plus employees and 600 plus happy customers worldwide. Across the globe, Royal Cyber provides reliable and high-performing solutions and services in commerce, cloud, analytics, mobile AI, middleware integration, and ServiceNow. Being headquartered in Naperville, Illinois, we have offices located in different parts of the world, namely Canada, Mexico, Australia, UK, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and we also have our delivery centers in India and Pakistan. We have the ability to design strategies to modernize, expand, and build value to deliver impactful journeys for our clients and create a 360-degree value across their digital transformation journey. As a ServiceNow specialized partner, we can perform key areas of IT service, providing your teams the capacity and insight they need to achieve improvements. Our IT service management practice helps our clients transform their ITSM capability to improve value, increase agility, and create viable business performance. You will discover how Royal Cyber delivers the ServiceNow better, faster, and cheaper services and help your entire enterprise function at its best. Now I'm going to cover some value added tools that we have. So we're just going to switch with the moving on. Arun, could you please help me with the value added tools? Yeah, this one. Thank you. So we do have our in-house value-added tools and accelerators like Monitor Pro, which is an organization-wide monitoring across multiple public cloud providers. Then Secure Cloud, which is a one-click cloud compliance. Then 3DD Plus. Now this is for designing, developing, and delivering unique 3D customization experiences. And others as well, like DevOps is there, AIOps is there, GoTest Pro is there. Now, let's move on to another exciting announcement that we have for you all. We are excited to announce that we are hosting an in-person tech talk at our Naperville office on 5th of May 2022. We are a ServiceNow Premium partner and we are here to answer questions about the built-in machine learning capabilities that come with ServiceNow Predictive Intelligence. This event is all about how Royal Cyber can help in reducing manual intervention, improve customer satisfaction, and elevate employee productivity with ServiceNow Predictive Intelligence. We are also going to give you a link in the question window in case you're interested in registering for the event. And now I would like to hand over the session to our speaker for today. Arun, over to you.
Thank you, Archana. So good morning, good evening to everybody. So my name is Arun. I'm working as a technical lead on ServiceNow here in Royal Cyber. So I've been working on ServiceNow from last, just a second. Okay. Yeah, I've been working on ServiceNow from past 7+ years, and I'm predominantly focused on the ServiceNow module implementation and enhancement and development side. Right? So, as we all know, for the topic of the day, how to optimize cloud spend with ServiceNow Cloud Insights. Right? Then everybody in this session are using ServiceNow for one way or another, like maybe as an ITSM tool, maybe utilizing any of its capability, right? Maybe the ITOM or maybe the IT asset management, maybe CMDB and discovery. So as you know, ServiceNow is a key player in the market, and with every release of there, they come up with something new and exciting in their capability. Like they just keep on adding their capability with every release. Right? And with the latest, like 2 releases back, they have introduced something very exciting and very useful in the real time, like any other of their solution, right? Which we have done our implementation in one of the customer infrastructure, and we identified, okay, this makes quite a big impact when it comes to customer infrastructure, right? So what exactly it is, right? What Cloud Insight is all about, and how can it help your infrastructure to be performing better? How it can actually give you a better view into your entire cloud resources and keep track of them. So, right, that's what we'll be discussing today, right? So, like any of this, like if you just take the last decade, right? Cloud computing has become a key player in the market, right, for delivering mobile and content services. Right? So it was like it was chosen as a alternative for the traditional enterprise computing environments. Why? Because it has the capability to optimize, right, their infrastructure. It's a SaaS platform, and it gives you the capability, or it helps the business to focus on the digital first. In this digital first economy, cloud will continue to play a greater role in the IT industry, and we have been seeing this trend from some last a decade, right? Now, when we are moving to cloud, right, it comes with its own challenges and business rates, right? Now we'll start with a little forecast or little survey which was done by looking into this forecast done by IDC on the worldwide whole cloud outlook, right? So if you see, by year 2021, sorry, the cloud expense, right, was the cloud spend was somewhere around $706 billion, right? That's what the cloud spend as of 2021. So it's like almost 55.7% is the rate in which it was coming up, right? And the focus is in another 4 years, by 2025, it will reach a whopping amount of $1.3 trillion, right? That's a huge race, and it's not just that. It will be sustaining an annual growth rate of 16.9. That's what IDC is forecasting. This is what the how the cloud is going to impact, or going to have that impact on the world when it comes to adopting it, taking it further in their particular infrastructure. And there is a lot of key players out there who provides this. It's not just one set of cloud resources. It can be business SaaS, it can be infrastructure as a service, it can be cloud related, any of the cloud related services, it can be PaaS, it can be dedicated cloud services, right? It's a combination of everything, right? Now what happens is, in today's like digital world, the innovations are increasingly fast. It just comes out in a blink of an eye, right? Every day there's something new coming up, and to keep up with the faster delivery options, and what the customer needs is uh, to get their solutions or services faster. So that's when people or the market adopt to cloud, right? Now, like any technology, when we adopt a new technology, it comes with its own challenges, right? It's not like, okay, it's a foolproof mechanism out there. When we adopt a new technology, it comes with its own challenge, not challenges in terms of technically or with respect to security or anything, challenges with respect to how, like, what is expected out of the technology, and how what is the different, how it is meeting individual customer needs, right? So when we were working with our customers with respect to the cloud management and automation vertical, we identified majorly there are like all the challenges whichever they were listing out were boiling down to two major key like core challenge or core business need, basically, right? So one being the lack of visibility, and second being unmanageable cloud cost. And when I say lack of visibility, it's not like, okay, they are not able to see anything. It's basically with multiple cloud resources that are being utilized, right? They don't have a single window view into their entire cloud resources, right? And they feel like it becomes increasingly difficult to have a complete visibility and actually look into what is it, the entire resources, and identify what is working, how, and how the deployment and everything is happening, right? So we'll be talking in depth about these challenges, but I'm just giving you an overview. The second one being the unmanageable cloud cost. When I say unmanageable cloud cost, as you can see here, right, in just 4 years, the entire cloud spend is going to be double. It's going to be one. It's almost going to be 1.3 trillion by in next 4 years, right? So with the spend, it becomes somewhere unmanageable for them. Right? Why unmanageable? Again, we'll be talking a bit in depth into that as well, right? So when we are going through these challenges, definitely what we are looking forward from this end of this session is to give you a better view into this as a solution, I may say, or as an insight into cloud insights as an application, how it can help you in addressing these challenges, right? And to give you a heads up, this entire session or entire webinar is of two parts. Right? First one, basically we'll be going through these challenges, right? And we'll be addressing the how to manage this, how Cloud Insight can help you in uh, plugging these holes, right? Second part is the POC or a real-time experience of how this is going to work in your infrastructure, right? So at the end of this session, yes, we have the steps identified to help you out in setting up a POC or a test infrastructure for you, right? You can reach out to our team post this session webinar, where we'll be customizing and building kind of a solution for you, right? And help you in showcasing this entire cloud insight in your infrastructure, how it will be helping you, right? Because your business requirement, though the challenges remains the same, maybe after you identify the solution, how to go forward, it will be varying from customers to customer, right? So that's the way we'll be approaching this entire webinar, right? Now let's get into this individual challenges, right? The first one, lack of visibility, right? So as when we are working with our customer, we understood many of them has adopted, or they have changed their hosting environment to visualization, right? Based on they started adopting vCenter. It's earlier times they started adopting vCenter, and then they started getting vRealize orchestrator to kind of automate stuff on top of it, right? And with the increasing trend in the past decade, almost entire marketplace has adopted cloud as well. They didn't completely move into cloud, they started adopting cloud as well, right? Why did they go started with the visualization? Was because of its computing power and its capability of automated failover, right? Now when it comes to cloud, it came with additional benefits, right? It's came up with the option of optimize the like consumption, and basically to take the advantage of SaaS applications, right? So like we said, so when it comes to cloud, there is a lot of key players out there. We have Azure, we have AWS, which is majorly common among almost all the customers that we work with, right? Some are just focused on one of this service provider, either AWS or Azure, or some cases they have a combination of both. And even in their infrastructure for specific areas, they either use IBM or they use Google, Google Cloud, or any of the cloud service providers, right? Now, like I said, any adoption comes with its own challenges, right? Now, the key challenges they listed is like, it, though I say it's different, Windows, silos. So what exactly it means, right? Now, let's say we have an infrastructure of Azure and we have an infrastructure of AWS, right? Now, what happens? There are numerous machines which is running on AWS and numerous machines is pinned up in Azure, right? Maybe in IBM and Google Cloud. Now what happens? There's no single view or window into through which they can actually see this entire cloud infrastructure at one go. If they want to see Azure related um, infrastructure and there how it's performing and everything, they need to log into the Azure Cloud uh, endpoint or the URL and take a look how it's working, or extract it as a report, right? Maybe Excel or something and look into it. Same goes for AWS and IBM and whatever, right? And the major complaint among many of them is they don't feel they have the control over the entire environment when it comes to specifically when it comes to the upper management, right? The leadership, they don't necessarily know what actually happens when it comes to the deployments, or they don't have a single view into this entire infrastructure, right? And majority of them are, trust me, they're not doing much about it. They're not doing anything to fix this issue, right? So they're just relying on the daily or weekly or monthly reports to have a insight into it, right? So now there is different windows. That's first thing, right? Second thing, it's all working in silos. When I say working in silo, let's say in some solution cases, they have few machines which is running in AWS and few are running in Azure, right? They are working together to provide a service or solution to the end user, correct? Now what happens? Now the leadership doesn't have a kind of an eagle view how these two are working together, right? They know individually, they log in individually and see, but they don't have an eagle view how these guys are working together all together, and what are assigned to which team and everything, right? Now these are working in silos, right? And even if you want to do something about it, it's majorly multiple tools involved. Azure has its own, AWS has its own, right? At the end of the day, like I said, it's the good old Excel is the only option left kind of a scenario comes, right? Because we want to make sense of both. Now they extract the report in Excel in both the things, then they combine this and they put an extra effort to actually. I'm not saying every customer is doing this, but as we have personally seen, right, when there's no clear cut or out of the box solution available, that's the best thing they can do, or they need to build a custom application or something which actually can fetch these details, make sense of it and generate a third report, right? That's how it happens. So there's no consolidated view out of the box, right? And the key area being, most of us who's using ServiceNow, apart from using it as the ITSM platform, it uses the capability of CMDB and discovery. Now, why we use the CMDB discovery capability of ServiceNow is predominantly to keep a track on what all the CIs which is there in the uh, what is it in our infrastructure, and how it is actually making like sense to us, and keep a track on all the devices. It's not just the hardware, software, or network devices. It's also, they also want to have an insight into the cloud devices as well. Now there's a disconnect when it comes to CMD visibility as well, because these are different clouds and they don't know how these guys are working together, right, to make sense, correct? So that's where the question. So see, when normally this happens, when somebody faces some issue, they just come with like, why don't you do this, right? So for example, the key question may be out there is, why don't the marketplace just standardize with one cloud provider and stick with them, right? Like, why don't they just use AWS and don't use Azure, or just use Azure and not to go with AWS, right? The, see, we all know the answer. Why do we adopt two or three or multiple cloud providers, right? To put the answer out there, right? When we are working with a cloud solution, we don't want to be like forced to use a single uh, cloud, whatever they are providing, right? We have our own or individual group or individual team has their own business needs, right? They want to spin up cloud infrastructure as per their requirements, right? Maybe, so it's not always again the case. Maybe what they may be finding the resizing capabilities or the business needs for that particular requirement in Azure, or maybe in IBM compared to AWS, or maybe in AWS compared to any other, right? So they don't want to be dictated, or they don't want to be forced to use a single cloud infrastructure, right? And second thing is, like I said, it's all based on the business need. But even after that, even like they want best of both worlds. They want to use either of this technology, but they want a single view also into it. Now that's a difficult task, right? At this present moment, right? they still want a single view to get a look into it. Now, again, like I said, the different tools, whether it's Excel or something to make sense, it makes a lot of effort to actually get it done, right? Now, let's say why. Let's see why, right? It's not like when we try it out in our test infrastructure, we hardly have few machines running in AWS or Azure, right? But that's not the case when it comes to most of any of our customers, right? When it comes to a real-time project or real-time customer environment, the infra is going to be really huge, right? So I can give you insight into how a kind of a customer infrastructure looks like, right? So this is extracted from one of our existing customers cloud resources, right? So when we ran a cloud discovery against their cloud infrastructure from ServiceNow, because they utilize the cloud management suite of ServiceNow, right? When we ran a cloud discovery against their entire infrastructure, the numbers are like really huge, right? If you see here, they have a huge volume of machines running in AWS. So this is the window of AWS, and I'll be walking you through the VMware also. But let's take a look here. So they have a huge number when it comes to individual machine. Let it be load balancers, or let it be uh, EC2 instances or storage volumes. All right, they have even the network interface. They have a huge number of devices which is running in their AWS infrastructure, right? And the best part is to help like add it here. ServiceNow's cloud provisioning and governance uh, module, right, gives you a very beautiful interactive real-time dashboard. This is extracted from that dashboard, which is extracted from ServiceNow's cloud provisioning and governance dashboard, right? So it's a interactive. So because of constraints, I'm not able to show you the real time, but this is a snippet of how it is shown or how it is happening in their infrastructure, right? It's an interactive real time, right? So we have the option to like look into individual service accounts or regions and how many machines are running there, right? That's for the case of AWS. Now then they have the instance for the VMware also, and even compared to AWS, it may be less, but the VMware or virtual machine infrastructure of theirs also is pretty huge. They have a huge VMware infrastructure as well, right? And what happens is, so in either case, since we are all using service like AWS, right? What happens? These machines are not just prod. It's not just the production instances. They have both production and non-production instances, which involves testing, POC, or some machines which are used for some development activities and everything, right? It's a combination of both. But the problem is, usually what happens in cloud is any machine which is on, which is running, correct? It consumes cost. We all know that. And what is the best way to do it? Either the machine should be in a pause or on a switched off state. That's when we can make the maximum savings, correct? And definitely cost is something everybody want to speak about. It's not like, okay, we have machine, we are good enough. So everybody want to actually know what is happening in the infrastructure, how much cost involved and everything, right? Now, just imagine handling an infrastructure like AWS and VMware of so much, correct? And they have a huge infrastructure, hence kind of the cost involved in that, right? And the thing is, there's no sample window, like there's not a single window which can actually, out of the box I'm saying, which can actually give a view into this entire infra as well as the cost at one go, correct? Now if I just take a uh, go to the next slide where they have the sample window. Okay, this is a what I say, a screenshot or taken from one of their existing clients when we implemented Cloud Insight for them. So we haven't included so much of this their details. We're just giving you the higher level, right? So they have a Cloud uh, Insight application installed, and with that we identify they spend around $86,000+ every month, right, on their cloud infrastructure, correct? So it's again based on the initial work that we have done for them, right? Now $86,000 is a huge amount, right? It's not like, it's like again monthly, right? Now what happens with Cloud Insight is it gives you three options, right? Three windows, I would say. One, what is the last 30 days spent? Like how much did we spend in last 30 days? Second thing is a monthly spend on, okay, how was it spent every month? Like May, June, July, like that. It's individual expenditure show. And the key feature is the forecast option of Cloud Insight. When I say forecast option, basically let's say this is the mid of the month or like 15th or 20th of the month, right? So it will say what is the spend till date and what is the projected spend which is going to be by end of the month, by within the 30 days. And based on the trend which happened from last couple of months, it will forecast and say what will be the expected uh, cloud spend going to be in the next 30 days. Right? That's an exciting feature, right? Because what happens, let's say uh, I'm let's say you are the person who is handling the cloud practice, right? Now you are responsible to keep a track on the budgeting and basically showcase, okay, we will be spending X amount of money in the upcoming month or in this month on your cloud resources, and we are expecting it to be X plus Y percentage by next month, correct? We need to back it up with some data. It's not like, okay, we have seen this trend from last 3 months or 10 months, so we are expecting it's going to be like that, right? That's not a, if I was in that place, that won't be a solid backing data for me to go ahead to my management and say, like upper management, and say like, okay, this is the expense I'm expecting, right? Now trust me, and nobody wants to do that, right? And the best part is with using Cloud Insight, it categorizes and tells us, right, okay, so there are so many machines running owned by certain people or certain group, right? Categorize it into like what's a prod and non-prod and everything. It's a categorization option which comes out of the box, right? Now this, what is that? When I say the amount is gonna increase by like next month, right? By X percentage or whatever it is because of the trend, right? Now the question is, are we actually utilizing the amount kind of what do you say uh, properly? Is it being spent right? And Cloud Insight gives you one more option, one more analysis, saying that it will give you something called unassigned resources, right? So once it done the cloud discovery, it comes back and say, dude, there is so many machines. So in our case, it was hardly 12, right? In cases we have seen, they have a good number of machines which are running. Couple of them are in off state, couple of them are in on, right? Which are categorized as unassigned. When I say unassigned, right, that means nobody, like, it's not like entirely blank. It's basically like they exactly don't know who this machine belongs to, right? What it being used for. Is it spent up for a POC and forgot to turn it off, right? Or is it used part of a testing and right now nobody is using it, right? So this unassigned resources, it eats up a lot of money, right? In this case, negligible somewhere, right? But think about infrastructure huge as that, and 10% or 5% of that infra is come something like unassigned, right? That's a lot of money, right? So the question raises, what is this money used for, right? Is it good? Is it a waste, right? And trust me, nobody wants to go back to the management and say like, yeah, we are spending X amount of money on this like so much unassigned resources which we have no clue about. Who like, I'm the guy, I don't want to do that, right? I cannot go back and say like, I don't know. I need to have a hold on this entire infrastructure, correct? So it's not anybody's fault, because it's like, okay, we have a customer engagement where we need to showcase and we need a mission, we are spinning it up, we are working on it, then we totally forgot to follow it up, and it happens, right? But that doesn't matter when it comes to the money which is involved, right? Now this forecast, now this, like I said, the forecast is in next 4 years is going to be like $1.3 trillion with a steady growth rate of 16.9%, right? And when the growth is itself like that, definitely this uh, over budgeting or overspend is also going to increase, right? Don't believe me? It's okay. Let's look at what the market leaders or has to say, right? That brings us to the second challenge, cloud spend, right? Now, like I said, if we look at what our market leaders have to say, right? What Forbes and Gartner and IDC says about this overspend. Right? Now, Forbes says with a growing cloud spend, over budgeted, like the entire out of 100% budget, the over budget is of 23%, and it is expected to increase in 47% by next year. That's like half of the money which is invested into or spent on the cloud resources, right? The same goes with says by Gardner as well. Gardner says because there is a lack of cloud optimization process, the overspend is of around 40%. 40%, it's a huge number out of the 100, right? And the third, IDC again says the 20 to 30% of the cloud spend is wasted, and out of that 10% is out of customer radar. Like I said, the unassigned resources, right? 10% of this entire spend is like out of the radar, and they don't know that being wasted on. I don't. We cannot completely write it off as wasted on. Just that they don't know how to account it for, correct? Because there's a lot of machines running which are they don't know the owner what is happening with the machine, which it's required or not. That's the thing, right? And what happens is, because see, this is a very important piece of information, right? And if we don't have a proper tool or some process or some other stuff in place, this is just going to increase, right? So even if let's say if we are running a poll here in this webinar or among you guys to just say, okay, how much percentage of your entire cloud spend is like you think is overspent or over budget, right? Definitely the number comes somewhere between 20 to 30%, right? Because that's what even the market study shows. Let's set a let's say an average of 30% that is being overspent, right? That means if we are spending $100 every month, that means $30 of that is overspent, and it's steadily increasing the next month, right? Let's say it's 16% of increase in the next month. It's gonna be like $116, and you can calculate that 30% of that, right? That's gonna be waste, right? Now, why we call it as a overspend or waste is because of five different reasons, correct? It falls in five categories. One is legacy instances, unused instances or unidentified instances, reserved, business hours, and right sizing. Right. Now, what is legacy instances? We've been hearing this throughout our journey, right? Legacy machines and legacy instances. It basically means the solutions which are based on legacy technologies, or the instances are not having an optimized solution, or it's not in the best pricing category, or it's not utilizing the best options. That's how the legacy instances, right? The second one comes to unused machines or unidentified machines, right? These are part of the uncategorized. Again, I would say these are running in the infrastructure, but nobody knows or nobody owns it, right? So since nobody owns it, we don't know whom to reach out to make sure, like, okay, are we spending it? Should we keep it? Should we just remove it from the infrastructure? We don't know, right? We don't have any option to optimize also this entire infrastructure. That comes in the unused and unidentified machines. Then comes the reserved, right? Reserved machines are nothing but they're on, but basically not required. They need to be on during that particular moment of time. It can be any machine, it can be test, production, sorry, not the production one, test and POC or whatever the machines, right? And the last two, the business hours and right sizing, basically that they play hand in hand, I would say. So business hours means there are, like, we know for every time the machine runs, it's on, we need to pay, correct? So business hours is apart from the machines which are production critical and which is used in a end user computing or providing a solution. All other machines which are not being used outside the business hours can be turned off or put in pause, right? That saves a huge amount when it comes to the expense, correct? So, and the last one is right sizing. Right sizing, as it says, few machines are over procured or over provisioned because of the template that we follow. But at the end of the day, the requirement of that particular uh, use case or service is very negligible, right? I wouldn't say negligible, excuse me for that. It's like the computing power of that machine is not required. That much power is not required for that particular service to be provided. We can bring it down to even lesser size of the memory or the storage capacity or the CPU utilization. It can save a lot, right? So these are the 5 areas where this overspend is happening, correct? Now this is where, see, now we have the visibility challenge. Now we have the what is that, cloud expense challenge. We have unmanageable cloud expense somewhere we don't know, and we don't have a window through which a glass pane through which we can see the entire infrastructure at one go, correct? We don't have anything out of the box or a process in place. This is where ServiceNow introduced Cloud Insights, right, to address these issues, right? So, to put a disclaimer, right, if you are using multiple cloud infrastructures, Cloud Insight will give you the best, right? In comparison, I'm saying, give the best outcomes or ROI, right? Why? Because our key problem is the visibility, right, into this entire infrastructure when it involving multiple service providers, right? That's where we have the problem right now. Let's say you are using only AWS or Azure, right? Most of us are using both, but let's say we are just sticking to the AWS or Azure cloud, right? Now they themselves have their own tools through which you can actually see into their infra and see the costing and everything, right? For just to see those machines, we don't need Cloud Insight, but in that case also Cloud Insight will become very handy, where to be exactly saying that, okay, it can actually analyze your infrastructure and give you insight into what is the trend, this unassigned machines, right? That's the key advantage of Cloud Insights, right? And the additionally, one more thing is, if like to work the Cloud Insight to work perfectly, it requires the data, right? So again, once you enable the plugin into your infrastructure, the configuration is actually really easy, right? Now, let's say you want to go for a Cloud Insight. So now that's the whole point of the discussion, right? It's a paid plugin, right? Cloud Insight is not a freely available plugin. To enable it in your production infrastructure and everything, it involves a cost, right? Now, Cloud Insight is a part of the software asset management package of ServiceNow, right? And it works independent to the cloud management plugin, right? But it works better when it is packed with the cloud discovery of ServiceNow, because at the end of the day, what Cloud Insight does is basically runs the discovery on the on your cloud infrastructure, AWS or Azure or any other, through the mid server. Basically, it fetches the details, not just the infra details with respect to the technical aspects, right? Also the billing. So basically, it will get the billing details and the cloud utilization details into the ServiceNow and then it will run the analysis and showcase it, right? So it comes with basically 4 key advantages or key features. One of them being the cloud spend dashboard. So when I say cloud spend dashboard, it will track the hybrid cloud spending in one place. It includes SaaS, it includes infrastructure as a service, it includes PaaS, and basically it will help you in cutting the cloud cost, right? How? We'll discuss again. Second thing, it comes cloud spend analytics. Cloud spend analytics means that's where the forecasting comes into picture, right? How does the forecasting happen? So based on the last 90 days or 3 months or 6 months of data, it actually decide, okay, kind of creates a trend like, okay, this is the trend which has been happening, right? And based on that, we are forecasting, yes, in the next 30 days, this is how the uh, what is that the spend is gonna be, and it will adjust, or it will give you the forecast in such a way that we can actually improve the entire spending, correct? And third thing is the it will monitor the entire. I'm just sorry, my laptop is actually running out of charge, I believe. Okay, so what happens is then the right sizing and resources, right? So ServiceNow gives a kind of insight into the how we can right size its entire infrastructure and help within what is that bringing the cost down to minimum. And the fourth one being the business hours, right? Like we said, few machines can be switched off. We don't know right now. We may not know what and what not. But ServiceNow has this Cloud Insight has the capability to give you insight into how this particular machines can be put under what I say. There's business out of the business hour. We can put it on switched off or off mode, right? So that's comes with the as a features of this Cloud Insight. Now, yes, features is fine, but at the end of the day, what is the key benefits of using it, right? The key benefit what we have identified in our cloud infrastructure, or in the case of our existing customer where we have implemented, right, is predominantly on the unassignment and unused machine analytics. What I mean by that is basically we saw how unassigned resources, or how it is categorizing and showing how many machines are unassigned or uncategorized, right? Now what happens, okay, what happens there is when we know what all the machines are not being utilized or are being uh, uh, unassigned or unmanaged, right, we can actually categorize that into, so it gives you an option called cost tag categories. Basically it we can tag these machines to a certain group or owners, so that we know what exactly these machines are used for. Even after that, if it's not, it's unaccounted for, definitely we can go ahead and basically turn it off or dismantle that, right? So that we have seen kind of a very huge advantage in our infrastructure, right? To give you a kind of a case study into it, I'm just calling back the previous slide that we have done for this particular customer. They have around $86,000 which they were currently spending every month on their infrastructure, right? What we have done is basically we see, when we implemented Cloud Insight for them, we identified, right, the 30 percentage uh, overspend that we spoke about, correct? That is again, when we, if I just classify it into areas where they were overspending, right, 25 percentage of that, the overspend can be saved from right sizing of this machine. That means many of these machines were uh, over provisioned and underutilized, correct? And the business hours and unassigned resources, because like you saw, like it's around 12 machines which were unassigned resources, right? That's not a big number, right? Because they were very keen with respect to keeping a track on these machines. But still, few of them still, even after such tedious process involved, they still miss a couple of. So that can be like, that's almost the cost savings we can say is negligible, but a certain amount of money. And apart from the production instances, anything else will go on an hibernating or paused or switched off mode after the business hours, right? So our key areas were focusing on the right sizing of these machines and taking care of the unused machines. Some 9% of this cost was going for machines which were unused, correct? Now, uh, what was that like approach there? How to, right? Like I said, enabling this plugin is the easiest part. We just, if we want to go for Cloud Insight, it's pretty easy. We just like, since we are already, since you guys will be already having service now, enabling this plugin is just like any other plugin, right? Now the question is, see, the plugin comes with the cost, correct? It is a paid plugin. Now when it comes with the cost, there should be a proper ROI on the investment, right? For that, that's where the experts come into picture, right? Now, like our host Archana mentioned in the starting of the call, right? Royal Cyber is a pioneer when it comes to major technologies in the market. We have been adopting and delivering solutions on these new technologies as soon as the market change comes into picture, as soon as it is introduced into the market, right? So we have some of the uh, best AWS, Azure, or the cloud what is that, engineers working with us, and we are a specialist partner with ServiceNow, right? As a combined might, what we have done is first we ran the assessment of our infrastructure, like before implementing Cloud Insights itself, right? Because in any case, we may find like, okay, this particular module will come in handy, but it's not necessary. It's supposed to be implemented in your infrastructure, right? When we ran the assessment, we understood us Cloud Insight makes a lot of sense and what's that, ROI for them in their infrastructure. So we went with the Cloud Insights and we did the implementation and configuration of the Cloud Insights for them. And with the help of our ServiceNow CMDB tech leads, we help them with their discovery and what is that, solutioning their CMDB staleness and the disconnect in the CMDB, right? Not just that, right? Right, like I said, ServiceNow Cloud Insight can give you a forecast, right? This is the spend gonna be, and this is where you can save the money in right sizing or switching off or like dismantling a particular unused machine, right? Now, the next step of action is basically something we need to go and do it, right? So we have built custom application to fit their particular requirement, right? The same goes within your infrastructure, right? It's not like whatever we have implemented a solution which we have implemented for them won't work for you. The off-the-shelf solutions will work for you, no question there. But then their process may vary. We need to fine tune it, right? So that's where our Royal Cyber as a ServiceNow practice comes into picture in providing the solution, correct? Now, like I said initially, so we'll be doing the entire part is going to be the entire session is going to be of two parts, correct? The first part we did discuss, so I'm just going to the next slide where we are actually uh, coming to a conclusion on what exactly Cloud Insights or how Cloud Insights can be give you a kind of a betterment of your cloud infrastructure, right? The conclusion we can derive out of this is basically for one, basically Cloud Insights will help you in optimizing your environment, right? Improving the visibility into your entire infrastructure. Recommendation to right sizing, basically it will, like I said, it's actually recommending you what can be done, what not to be done, right? Like where we can save money, and manage based on that you can manage the entire cloud spend act as well. Okay, I'm seeing this. Okay, right. So this is the kind of the conclusion that we derive out of this entire cloud insight implementation in our particular customer infrastructure, right? Now, what is there for you, or how this will help you, and how Royal Cyber will be able to help you in this, right? So the second part of this entire session is the next steps that we are looking forward to, right? So we can like you can reach out to us, our team here, where Royal Cyber expert will work with you and create a roadmap of implementing Cloud Insights for you, right? Like assessing your infrastructure and identifying whether Cloud Insights is the good choice for you or not, right? That's where the first thing comes, right? If it is yes, we are going ahead and help you with the implementation and configuration of the entire Cloud Insight, and the complementary consulting part where Royal Cyber expert will work with you to resolve the existing issues with the help of Cloud Insights and building custom automation solutions for you, right? So to get started, you can contact us at info@royalcyber.com, right? We'll be uh, happy to help you with their infrastructure and manage your infrastructure better, foolproof, and give the better solutions out there. Cool. So that actually brings to the end of the discussion here. So about the Cloud Insight, what we have done and how it works, right? And yeah, and what is the next steps that you can do to make sure that your infrastructure can be optimized and managed in a better way. Cool. So Thank you all. So over to you, Archana.
Thank you so much, Arun, and that was very insightful information that you have given to all the attendees. Uh, Let me see if we have any question because I would like to inform everyone who is attending the webinar that now we are discussing all the questions and answers. So if you have any, feel free to post them in the question window on the right hand side of your screen. I can see a couple of questions. So the first is that if an organization is using AWS alone, is it recommended to use Cloud Insights?
Yeah. So I think I like addressed this question earlier, but let me repeat it, right? So if it's a single cloud service provider, right? Will ServiceNow Cloud Insight make sense? Yes, right. Why? Because the forecasting and trend analysis, even the uncategorized machine identification and suggestions of right sizing and business hours, that is a key capability of ServiceNow, right? Yes, Cloud Insight will help you with that, but it will as a combined might. If you have multiple machines, that's where the single window dashboard, the hybrid dashboard and tracking comes into picture and makes it happen better. I
Mhm.
hope that
Thank you,
answers
Arun,
the
for
question.
answering that.
Yes.
Yeah, I hope that was helpful. So the next question is, what roles are required to access the Google, sorry, what roles are required to access the Cloud Insights?
Okay. So any module like ServiceNow, when they implement it, comes with default to the admin and user kind of a roles, right? So to access the modules, ServiceNow has its own Cloud Insight admin and user kind of a roles. But when it comes to actually the discovery options of like Cloud Insight to AWS and Azure, it is it is recommended that service account which is provided should be having almost the admin kind of a role, but admin is like the super user, right? Giving the admin kind of a role is like at, at times it is very critical and we don't tend to, but we have a lot of policies which is there in AWS and Azure which can be set to this particular user account. So rather than giving them the complete privilege of admin, but a programmatic what is that user account which can actually fetch their infrastructure, not just the technical side, the billing and cost involved, that detail report also, the capability or the user with the capability to fetch these details, that is good enough to perform the discovery options using Cloud Insights.
Mhm. You spoke about the charges, and we have one question related to the cost only. So, what will be the charges for the Cloud Insights plugin? And does it have any charges which will cost along with the ITIL user license, or it will be like an extra charge?
Okay, yes, it does involve a cost, and I cannot give you like a ballpark figure of how much it's gonna be, right? Because it's based on the kind of ServiceNow licensing partnership that you as a individual organization has with ServiceNow, right? So it may vary from customer to customer based on what are the different uh, suites or application that you guys are using. And yes, it has a charge additional to the ITIL or the ITSM, the platform of ServiceNow, because it's an additional plugin like most of like many of the ServiceNow's plugin, right? So it do comes with the cost, and it can be based on your partnership with ServiceNow. It can be monthly or it can be yearly. So that varies. The numbers may vary. It's all based on the partnership that you have with ServiceNow.
Mhm. And that brings me to my next question and the last one for today's session. What are the prerequisites to understand the Cloud Insights?
Okay, so Cloud Insights as an application, it works standalone. Okay, so it doesn't require uh, too much of any of other modules of ServiceNow. It can work on its own, right? But uh, and the configuration part also is pretty easy, right?
Mhm.
You can actually enable it in your non-production instance. You just go to the plugin session of ServiceNow and search for Cloud Insights, and you'll get the Cloud Insights plugin. You can enable it, right? And the configuration is like any other module of ServiceNow, it has a walkthrough. Like it's like next, fill in the details, next kind of, right? The to get it enabled, like that's what I'm saying. Enabling the plugin is kind of an easy part, right? Now this works better with the cloud discovery, right? Because we'll be running discovery schedules on our cloud resources to fetch the details, not just the technical or the machines, the costing side also, correct? So cloud discovery and cloud insight works hand in hand better, right? And you need to have either you personally or somebody who's having a good knowledge on the AWS or Azure cloud, how to configure the reports, because there are certain requirements when it comes to the billing data download, right? It needs to have certain fields, and when it comes to AWS, the bucket name and the report prefix name supposed to be same. There are some certain requirements, right? So you personally, if you have knowledge on AWS and AWS or Azure, and you have a fair understanding on how ServiceNow plugin works and how we can configure it, that's good enough to go ahead. But again, just coming back to the statement which I made earlier, enabling the plugin is the easiest part, right? Now, will that will be useful for you? You need an expert who to assess the infrastructure and identify will it make sense. Not just that, after that, okay, if we found an issue or we found a suggestion, we need to build custom application and solutions for that. You need an expert like Royal Cyber to be there to help you out in.
Thank you so much, Arun. And that was our last question. With that, we have come to an end of this webinar. Thank you once again to our speaker, Arun, for taking out time and giving us valuable insights on the topic. If you have joined late, do not worry. We'll have this webinar available on all of our social media verticals. So don't forget to follow us over there. Once the webinar ends, you'll see a questionnaire on your screen. Make sure you fill it out. And for any further information, feel free to reach out to us at info@royalcyber.com. Thank you everyone for joining.